Marketers are increasingly tuning into digital audio as listenership expands. Our next presentation, called Amplifying Digital Audio Measurement, will shine a spotlight on the unique characteristics and market demands of digital audio measurement and provide some insights on a strategy for in-depth audience measurement. Here from Nielsen Audio is Senior Vice President Digital, Jeff Wender.
Thank you, Jennifer. And just real quick, another round of applause for the last section. Jen decided to take the high road by saying no lawyer jokes, and it blew my introduction because I had 3 that I was going to roll out. But it was very fascinating because, at least from my perspective, they all touched upon very important things about how we can help bring more money and more opportunity into the digital audio space. And that's really what I'm interested in talking and sharing some insights today about what we can do as an industry to generate more revenue, more opportunity. And one of the best ways to do that is through improved measurement. Now, just very quickly, by way of introduction, oops, hit a button too quick. By way of introduction, Nielsen is, many of you know, the world leader in market research. Our role, our charter, is to measure what consumers do, what they watch, what they buy, and even most recently, what people are listening to. Nielsen recently acquired Arbitron, the world leader in audience measurement for radio. And as a company, our charter is to better understand where and how consumers are understanding and learning more about products through advertising. And what we would like to do in our charter when it comes to audio is to be able to measure audio as a whole. Historically, Arbitron has been about measuring radio. Our charter is being able to measure audio and all the different ways in which marketers and advertisers can generate more revenue. One of the things that we would like to look and talk a little bit about today is what are some of the challenges in front of us? What are some of the things that are generating revenue in an incredibly growing space in digital audio? And what can we be doing more to bring more marketers, more advertisers to understand how they can take advantage of what is an incredibly growing, fast-moving space? Before we do that, I'd like to start off by diving in a little bit into understanding a bit more about the consumer and what the consumer is doing today with their time and how they're using their leisure. Let's see if we can get this to go. Can you guys in the back just, okay, there we go. Perfect. So before diving in and talking a little bit about audio, understand how consumers today are using and spending their leisure time. Today, about 60 hours worth of their time is being spent consuming TV, audio, and online. And that's weekdays, weekends, in terms of the entire amount of time people have an opportunity to be advertised and marketed to in terms of all the different ways and the primary ways in which people are advertising today. Next slide. When you look at the predominant ways in the areas in which people are spending the most time, social networking, television, and music all have a significant amount of additional opportunity and a significant amount of additional consumption over all of the other opportunities. And we saw this today in Jason's presentation earlier, talking about where people are spending their time. If we go to the next slide, the area in which you see the greatest amount of growth, and this is information that you are all very well aware and understand, is we see that in streaming. And just between the last 2 years, incredible amount of growth, 40% growth year on year, from 31%, nearly a third of individuals that were consuming streaming music, to almost half, 44% of consumers today are utilizing and taking advantage of these platforms. Again, that's whether it's iHeartRadio, Pandora, Beats, all the different types of services that are being used today. And next slide. And when you take into account other ways, non-traditional ways in which people are consuming digital music and streaming, adding in YouTube, as Jason pointed out earlier in terms of ways in which people are consuming more, even higher, 68%. 24% of individuals today using YouTube to understand and to be able to consume music. So 68%, nearly 7 out of 10 people are streaming music through these different services. Applications, again, it is about mobile. It's about mobile. When we look specifically at applications and streaming music, going from 2008 until just this past year, gone from 5% to 29%, over nearly a 500% growth in the amount of streaming music consumption that's being done in mobile today. This is where people are consuming the vast majority of the music streaming content. More and more we're seeing this in consoles, in TV set-top boxes, the iTunes, the Apple TVs. This is where it's being done, but traditionally mobile applications is where the primary driving activity is taking place. The real challenge, and really it's not about monetizing, because when we see today, there's a tremendous amount of money that's being invested in digital audio. Agencies and advertisers are doing it as more and more people are listening. The real question is not just about monetizing, it's really about maximizing that opportunity. And a lot of what we do as a measurement company, and from a Nielsen perspective, we live in big data. We were big data before big data was as popular and as exciting as it was, and as people started to look at different ways in which to understand more about how people are consuming information. But it's really more about monetizing it and doing it in a way in which you can maximize those dollars. The first big challenge when you look at it is the amount of fragmentation that's taking place and understanding where audio is consuming. 14 hours worth of time is being consumed today in terms of audio. Still, 2 hours a day in terms of drive time, information is being utilized, or time is being utilized to spend in mobile audio, and to be able to use this as an opportunity. Driving, at the gym, other opportunities, but in terms of overall, the second biggest opportunity that you have. But when you look at how data is being used and how digital audio is being, how it's being set up to be purchased by advertisers and agencies, digital audio is being established and set up by a new standard, a new digital standard. In a lot of cases, there are traditional ways in which audio is purchased. But it also, digital audio has digital buyers, people that are used to buying display advertisements, video advertisements, understanding how that's being done in a way that's different in how traditional audio is being, the way in which radio is being purchased. And being able to come up with the right metrics and the right information so that agencies can make the right investments, that's what ultimately is the most important. One of the things that we call it is we call it a badge decision. You have, everyone I'm sure here has a badge to get into their building, to get in the front door of their company. Agencies and advertisers have billions of dollars set aside that they're responsible for in terms of justifying where their investments go and where these dollars are being applied. And from an investment standpoint, they make decisions, $1 billion, $1 million decisions on applying money in the right way and in the right places. They need more information and better information to make those types of actionable, intelligent decisions. And with that information, they invest more. And a lot of the feedback that we hear is that today, they are challenged to make the significant investments in digital audio because of the information they have, and they need more. So this is a big piece of what we believe as an industry we can do to ultimately invest more and to get more people to invest in digital audio. Some of those agencies are very clear. They will tell you, and this is the tailwind, that today, digital audio today is keeping audio ad spend from shrinking. That if you take a look at overall ad spend, that those numbers would be going down dramatically if it weren't for the fact that digital audio is helping to create additional opportunity. But at the same time, what they're also saying is that we would be investing a tremendous amount of more money and dollars if we truly understood the audience better and could validate and secure the fact that these particular individuals are indeed there and people that we could validate that we're advertising against. So a lot of what we're doing and what advertisers and agencies talk to us about is we need more information. We need better information to help justify these investments, and we need to be able to apply that in a way that is not just directional but actionable, in ways in which it can establish a currency so people can transact on it. We see those in three buckets. The first is understanding the reach, understanding specifically how many people are being exposed to audio consumption, to these different audio platforms, and being able to validate and ensure that that audience is exactly who is being marketed to, that what ultimately what the publisher is recommending and saying that they're delivering this particular audience is indeed what they're getting. The second piece is resonance. Beyond just being able to identify the specific number of people that are ultimately there, understanding that you are able to make a brand impact, that you are ultimately in a position where you're delivering strong information that can deliver the message and ultimately deliver strong brand recall. And lastly, reaction, the last piece, which is really focusing on understanding how effective the ads are and can you tie specific dollars to that. Oops. Now there's a couple of key areas that, man, I'm having all kinds of trouble with this mouse today. Can we go back a slide, please? Thanks. It's all right. No, it's fine. So in terms of understanding the reach elements of it, what agencies and advertisers are asking for is the ability to have comparability. Being able to measure advertisements between traditional audio and digital measurement by the same benchmarks. So they can be able to understand from an apples-to-apples perspective how people are consuming the audio content in their advertisements. They also want to understand validated demographics. Who specifically are the people that are consuming these advertisements? Understanding the age, gender, ethnicity, doing it in ways that are provided by third-party independent information that is not based upon user-defined or specific information that's provided directly from the user themselves that hasn't been validated. Lastly, the ability to understand cross-platform, to be able to understand how that compares against television as well as video advertisements and display. Because today, in a lot of the different ways in which we've seen in which advertisements are being done, a lot of that is being done not just with traditional audio measurements, but with multimedia, with display advertisements, and there's traditional ways in which those are being done. They want to see that it's optimized delivery. They want to make sure that the audience in which is being targeted is indeed what's being delivered. They want to be able to reconcile it in the same way they do today in digital, as well as what's taking place today in television. That if you ultimately deliver a guarantee that you're indeed hitting that audience and you know that you're delivering against those specific impressions. They want to make it transactional, built into all the buying systems so they have the ability to make it very seamless. And lastly, to have a census measurement, to be able to capture the entire audience. Earlier they talked about whether or not you're capturing it at the server level, but ultimately understanding directly whether a consumer is listening to it at the device. That's an area that we heavily want to focus on and try to figure out ways to capture more information directly at the device level. Oops. Can we go back one slide, please? So the last two pieces are what we call reaction and resonance. Resonance is measuring brand effectiveness. And one of the areas where Nielsen has done a tremendous amount with traditional radio is measuring whether advertisements from a brand perspective can ultimately be as effective or more effective than other mediums. This is an area that digital has an opportunity to be even more effective with, because the ability to identify specific users who are listening to and exposed to ads, providing that information back to understand how the exposure was. Did it increase purchase intent and brand intent? Those are areas in which we have an ability to provide more information. And then lastly, in terms of reaction, creating closed-loop systems so that we have the ability to see specifically from a dollar-for-dollar perspective how investments in traditional radio, when someone invests $1, what is the incremental lift that you receive? And big data today allows us to do that. We have the ability to be able to identify when someone is exposed to an advertisement, are they actually going and making a purchase offline, not just within a digital domain. A lot of examples earlier about how that can be done entirely in an online setting. But specifically how we can do this in offline to understand whether purchases take place. Recently at the ARF, Nielsen participated in a study where we identified that $1 created $6 in advertisement created $6 of incremental lift in traditional radio. With digital and the ability to be much more targeted with respect to specific audiences, this provides us an ability to do a whole lot more and understand it a lot better. So ultimately, there's an opportunity to do a tremendous amount more than what's being done today. We have the ability to understand more about what digital audio consumers are doing with respect to their outreach, what they're listening to, as well as to understand after the fact, are they ultimately making purchases, increasing the investment. Once we provide this information to the agencies and to advertisers, it will give them a lot more confidence in what digital audio can bring, and will ultimately bring a lot more money and revenue into digital audio for us to grow that pie the way that I think we all believe the opportunity provides it. Thank you.